multiplication of decimal numbers. Let's say we have the question 2 times 1.2. So here we have a decimal point. So when we come to multiplying, we can multiply whole numbers using the grid method. So to make this number a whole number, we need to multiply it by 10 so that we can take the decimal point across 1 over here. So this now becomes 2 times 12. But we can't just multiply by times 10 because that will change the question. So we need to also divide by 10 afterwards. So we need to put over here divide 10 to remind us. So now 2 times 12 we can do using the grid method. 12 has two numbers, so we put two lines, and 2 has one number, so we put one line there, times 10 and 2, and we place a 2 here. Now we fill in the boxes, so 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 times 2 is 4. So the total here is 24. So we can write this out as 24 divided by 10. Now, to divide 10, we simply take the decimal point that's at the end and move it over to the left by 1, because we have 1 0. So this equals 2.4. So the answer to our original question, 2 times 1.2, is 2.4. Let's look at another example. 3.2 times 5. So again, we want to make the 3.2 into a whole number, so we need to move that decimal point across 1, and we can do this by multiplying by 10, and if we multiply by 10 we must also divide by 10 to get it back to the original question. So the question becomes 32 times 5 divided by 10. No, we didn't write this times 10 again because we've already moved the decimal point over here. So 32 has two numbers, so we place two lines here, and 5 has one number, so we place one line going across, and place the times in the top left. We fill in the numbers, so 30 and 2 and 5. We then fill in the boxes, so 5 times 30 is 150, 150. That's 3 times 5 is 15, adding the 10 from the 30, and 5 times 2, which is 10. We add these together, that gives us 160. So the next line becomes 160 divided by 10, and to divide 10 we move the decimal point across one place, so the answer is 16. Let's look at another example. 4.3 times 2.9. Here both numbers have a decimal point, so what we need to do is change these into whole numbers. We can do that by moving the decimal point one point to the right. To do that we need to multiply by 10. We then do the same for the second number, so the 2.9 becomes 29 by multiplying by 10. But if we multiply by 10, we must also divide by 10 for each of the cases that we've just done. So now we can write 43, because we multiplied by 10, times 29, multiplied by this 10, divide 10, and divide 10, which is divide 100, because 10 times 10 is 100. So now we use our grid method to multiply the 43 times 29. So both numbers have two digits, so we draw two lines each, place a cross in the top left. Then we write the numbers on the sides in any order, so we can use 40 and 3 in the top, or we could have done it on the left, and then we place 20 and 9. Now we multiply and fill out the boxes. So 4 times 2 is 8, and then we have two zeros, one from 40 and one from 20. Then we do 3 times 20, which is 3 times 2 is 6, add the 0 from the 20. Next box we do 9 times 4, which is 36, add the 0 from the 40. And then the last box we do 9 times 3, which is 27. We then add the numbers we just wrote, so 800, 360, 60, and 27. Starting with the right hand side column, zeros plus 7 is 7, 6 plus 6 is 12, add the 2 is 14, and the next column is 8 plus 3, which is 11, plus the 1 gives us 12. So it's 1, 2, 4, 7. So we can write that down in our next line. This is 1, 2, 4, 7 divided by 100. Now to divide by 100, we take the decimal point that's on the end and we move it 2 places because we have 2 zeros. So this becomes 12.47. Let's look at another example. Let's say we have the question 5.4 times 6.3. Again, both numbers have a decimal point, so we need to move that to make it a whole number. So each decimal place has to be moved 1 place, and so does this one. So that means we need to do a times 10 and a times 10, but then we must cancel that out as well, so that the original question does not change. So we need to do divide 10 and divide 10. So we can write the next line as 54, because we moved the decimal point, times 63. And we don't write this bit out again, because we just use that to make these two numbers a whole number. So next to it, we place divide 10 and a divide 10. Now notice in this case, I put divide 10 by and divide 10, but this simplifies to divide 100, because 10 times 10 is 100. Now let's work out our double digit multiplication. So here we have 2 digits in each, so we create a grid and we place a cross there for the time symbol, and then 50 and 4 and 60 and 3. So in the first box, if we do 50 times 60, so 5 times 6 is 30, and add the 2 zeros, one from the 50 and one from the 60. And then the next box we do 60 times 4, so 6 times 4 is 24, add the 1 0 from the 60. Next box is 3 times 50, so 3 times 5 is 15, add the 1 0 from the 50. And the last box, 3 times 4, which is 12. We then add these numbers together, 3,000, 240, 150, and 12. Starting with the right hand side column, 0 add 2 is 2, 4 plus 5 plus 1 is 10, so we place the 1 on the next column, 2 plus 1 plus 1, which is 4, and the 3 here. So the answer becomes 3402 divided by 100. So now we have 2 zeros to divide by, so we move the decimal point 1 and 2 places to the left. So the answer becomes 34.02. Let's look at another example. 1.46 times 2.9. So in this example, the first number has 2 digits after the decimal point. So we need to make this a whole number, so we've got to move it 1 and 2 places. So that means it's times 100. But if we multiply by 100, we also need to divide by 100. The next number has one number after the decimal point, so we need to move it 1 place. So we need to multiply it by 10. If we multiply by 10, we must also cancel that, so we also have to divide by 10. This then simplifies to 146 times 29 divided by 100 divided by 10. But we can simplify this further and write this as divide by 1000, as 10 times 100 is 1000. We then multiply this using the grid method. So the first number has 3 digits, so we're going to draw 3 lines. And the second number has 2 digits, so we draw 2 lines. Then we place the numbers on the top as 146, so 100, 40, and 6, and 29. We then fill the boxes, so 100 times 20, 1 times 2 is 2, and then we add 3 zeros, 1 from the 20 and 2 from the 100. Next box we do 20 times 40, so 2 times 4 is 8, add the 2 zeros, 1 from each of the 2 numbers, 40 and 20. Then we do 20 times 6, so that's 2 times 6 is 12, add the 1 0. Moving on to the next one, 9 times 100, so 9 times 1 is 9, add the 2 zeros from the 100, 9 times 40, so 9 times 4 is 36, add the 1 0 from the 40, and 9 times 6, which is 54. And then we add the numbers in the middle here. So we have 2000, 900, 800, 360, 120, and 54. We then add the numbers together, starting from the right hand side. So we have 4, 6 plus 2 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 9 plus 8 is 17, 17 plus 3 is 20, adding the two ones gives us 22, so we place 2 and 2, and then 2 plus 2 gives us 4. So now this becomes 4, 2, 3, 4 divided by 1000. As we have 3 zeros, we need to move this 3 places to the left. So the decimal point moves 1, 2, and 3. So the answer is 4.234. Let's look at one more example. 3.02 times 2.15. In this case, both numbers have 2 digits after the decimal place. So we need to move it across by 2 places each. So that means we need to multiply both by 100. But if we multiply by 100, we must also divide by 100 for both numbers. This then simplifies to 302 times 215. These have already been used up by moving the decimal point. So we just write the divide by 100. And because that's divide by 100, we just add the 2 zeros on the end. Because 100 times 100 is 10,000. We then use our grid method to calculate 302 times 215. As there's 3 numbers in each, we need 3 lines going down and 3 lines going across. We then fill the numbers in, so 300, 0 tens, so we don't need that column because 0 times anything is just going to be full of zeros, and then 2. On the other side, we put 200, 10, and 5. So the first box is 3 times 2, which is 6, and then we add 4 zeros, as we have 2 zeros from 300 and 2 zeros from the 200. Next box we do 2 times 2, which is 4, and then we add 2 zeros from the 200. Next box is 300 times 10, which is 3 times 1 is 3, and then we add in 3 zeros, 2 from the 300 and 1 from the 10. 10 times 2, which is 20, 1 times 2 is 2, another 0 from the 10. 5 times 300, so 5 times 3 is 15, add the 2 zeros, and 5 times 2, which is 10. We then add the numbers we just wrote in blue. So we write down 60,000, 3,000, 1,500, 400, 20, and 10. Now it's important to align your unit, your tens, your hundreds, and so on. So here, the last column, we add up, which is 0. Then the next column, 2 add 1 is 3. Next column, 5 add 4, which is 9. Next column, 3 add 1, which is 4. And the next column is 6. So this then simplifies to 6, 4, 9, 3, 0 divided by 10,000. Now here we have 4 zeros, so we need to move the decimal point 4 places. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the answer is 6.493. Notice that we had a 0 here, so we could have wrote the 0 at the end, but it's a trailing 0, hence it's not needed. So the answer is 6.493.
You can download the application on Google Play or App Store, and you can visit our website mathslegends.co.uk.